continue to work on all fronts of the migration crisis, on the ground, in Greece and in Italy, in cooperation now with Turkey, but also on the longer-term perspective and reform needed. The reform of the common European asylum system is one of the main issues we are now focusing on. The current crisis has exposed structural weaknesses to our system. There are three main reasons behind our ideas for reform. Firstly, we need to ensure at the EU level an effective asylum system which alleviates the unfair pressure currently falling on a limited number of countries. Secondly, we need to make sure that asylum seekers and refugees are treated equally across the European Union and prevent secondary movements. Finally, and very important, we need to streamline legal and safe avenues to Europe for people to come, whether it's for protection or to contribute economically. And of course, we need to step up efforts in our integration policies. The reform of the asylum system must be seen as part of the comprehensive approach that the Commission is implementing for almost 1 year. And let's be clear, we are not building Fortress Europe. There will be migrants that will continue to knock on our doors to look for refuge. We have to therefore organize ourselves to manage the flows in an efficient manner that is fair for our citizens and host countries, as well as for the third country nationals and the countries they originated from. We need a genuine overhaul of the system based on a fair and sustainable allocation of asylum applications according to streamlined and efficient procedures. Today's discussion was a first exchange of views with the ministers, and I'm happy to hear that we all want to improve the system in any case, not just only Dublin, but the entire common European asylum system. The status quo is not an option. I also today debriefed ministers on the current state of play in implementing the EU-Turkey agreement based on the report we published yesterday. Work on the ground had started immediately after 20th of March, and we have seen the first results. But I also want to emphasize that we are at the beginning and that more work remains to be done. The number of arrivals at sea has decreased. The first returns to Turkey took place, as well as the first resettlements from Turkey to the European Union under the one-to-one scheme. We are working closely with Greece, Turkey, EASO and Frontex on the ground to put in place all the legal, practical, logistical and financial arrangements. From the Commission side, I assured ministers that we remain alert and monitor that all elements of the process are implemented according to EU and international law. In particular, our attention goes to addressing the humanitarian situation on the ground in Greece and bearing in mind the needs of the most vulnerable. This is precisely why we cannot forget about relocation, and I have reminded ministers today very firmly about this. Numbers continue to remain low, despite the fact that we all agree that Greece, as well as Italy, need to be supported. So far, little more than 1,200 persons in need of international protection have been relocated from Italy and Greece. Tens of thousands of people remain stranded in Greece, and the situation on the ground will not improve in the coming months, unless we evacuate all those who are entitled to relocation, and let me tell you that more than 70% are. In addition, last week Italy experienced an increase in migratory flows. Until mid-April, almost 25,000 migrants have arrived in Italy. Therefore, relocation is essential. The Commission has set the target to relocate 20,000 by mid-May for both Italy and Greece, and I believe that the EU countries can deliver on this number if the political will is there. But I have also underlined to the ministers that it is essential for the European Union countries to step up efforts and resettle Syrian refugees under the one-to-one scheme rapidly. The irregular migratory corridors can only end if people are offered a genuine and legal alternative. Finally, I am going to conclude on a positive step forward. Today, Member States have reached an agreement on the European Border and Coast Guard proposal, and I very much welcome this. Now it is up to the European Parliament to take the next step. If we keep up this pace, I have confidence that we will be able to finalise the legislative process in June. We cannot afford any delay. Thank you.